Good morning, Rabbi. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today is sponsored by Mr. Fogel, and it's done Leilui Nishmat, his father. B'shut Avi Mori, B'shut the Rabbi. I want to focus on one element that we find at the end of the parasha. The Torah tells us that Aharon passes away and he is buried on Hor HaHar. And the pasuk tells us that in the aftermath of the passing of Aharon, it tells us that the people all cried for Aharon. It's unbelievable. Kol Bet Yisrael, the entirety of the Jewish people. And our Chachamim point out the discrepancy between here by Aharon, where everyone is crying for him, and Moshe Rabbeinu, where Bnei Yisrael are crying for him. Yani, there's some people that were not mourning in the same level. Now, just to be clear, the idea of this, what is this trying to say? Are we trying to knock Moshe Rabbeinu? You know, Moshe Rabbeinu had a low approval rating. You know, they used to have, after 100 days in office, they would say, like, where is the president's approval rating compared to other presidents? Is that what we're doing over here? You know, listen, Aharon, he was very well liked. Moshe, not so much, whatever. Is that the point? The pasuk says something very similar, also puzzling, by Mordechai. At the end of the Megillah, the pasuk says, he was Ratzui Lerov Echav. Yani, 52% of the Jews voted in favor of Mordechai. Is that what it's telling you? The Chachamim explain, what does it mean, Lerov Echav? His fellow Sanhedrin members, they felt that, listen, you know, what Mordechai, what you're doing for the community is very impressive and very important. But you stepped away from the Bet Midrash, you stepped away from the Bet Din, and they didn't like that so much. They didn't approve of that so much. In each of these cases, there's an element of Musar that we're supposed to be learning here. We're not Has v'Shalom trying to put down a Mordechai or trying to put down a Moshe Rabbeinu. One of the ironic things is that al pi Kabbalah we know that Mordechai was a Gilgul of Moshe. So the irony that at the end of both of the books that they're the main character in, we have this seeming dig. Ratzui Lerov Echav, right? And as well with regards to Moshe Rabbeinu, Bnei Yisrael and not called Bnei Yisrael, it's something that needs to be kind of paid a little bit of attention to. So first I want to talk to you a little bit about that. In fact, according to this Zohar, we understand why Haman had such rejoicing when he thought about the fact that the day that came up in the Goral was Yud Gimel Nisan, which is in the week of the Shiva of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Gemara says that he rolled the dice. The Iu lo yada, he's so excited that was the week of Moshe's passing. The Iu lo yada, he did not know that Moshe was born on that day also. So I have to tell you, for many years this bothered me. Whatever little book, you know, they used to have the book with the yard site of the tzaddikim. How did Haman know what day Moshe Rabbeinu passed away? Whatever book gave him the information that that's when he was born. Like where he didn't know that that's when he died. So many different Mefarshim look at this from different angles. One idea that I saw which was very beautiful was Haman, his MO with everything was that Led Din V'Led Dayan, that God in heaven, he doesn't really care. He doesn't pay attention. He's not mashgiach be, you know, everything is mikre. Everything is happenstance, it's coincidence. So what he said was, the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu died, that's a good sign for me. The fact that Moshe Rabbeinu was also born, that's a coincidence. That's one answer to that question. But there's another answer to that question I think is very powerful. According to the Zohar, that Moshe Rabbeinu, that Mordechai was a Gilgul of Moshe Rabbeinu, the answer might be a little bit different. If his main nemesis is Mordechai, then it's true Moshe Rabbeinu was born on that day. But in the trajectory of Moshe Rabbeinu's life, he also ended his life on that day. By the time he ended his life on that day, it didn't matter that it was also born on that day. And in the same way that Mordechai could be a reappearing of Moshe Rabbeinu, I don't mind that this one will die and that there'll be born another one. But in one person's life cycle, if it's about Moshe or a reincarnation of Moshe, then what matters to me more is if this day is the day of his death. Whether there'll be another one that's born V'zarach Hashemesh Uba Hashemesh today, I don't care, as long as I get to kill Mordechai. Now, my friends, be that as it may, really what we're learning over here is something very important. And that is, and I don't know how to say this in a nice way, so I'm just going to say it. There are times that you have someone in the family that's the least popular brother. You have someone in the family that is the least popular parent. And sometimes you're inclined to think that that's because one parent is a nicer parent or is a better parent. But again, forgive me for the expression. Sometimes it's not that they're a better parent, it's that there's only one parent. One of the parents just was basically one of the kids. They let everything go, they let everybody do whatever they want, leaving the discipline to the other parent. I'm the fun one, she's the mean one. You know, I'm the fun one, he's the strict one. He's a disciplinarian. So one of them took on the role of parenting, of putting in boundaries, of saying no when you have to say no. The other one just said, Rohi, whatever you want, sweetheart. If it makes you happy, it makes me happy. That's not a parent. My friends, the reason why I'm sharing this is because it's hard to know what would happen in the family if there was another brother who was laying down the law. If someone else was able to say, Mabisir, we can't do that. We can't treat dad that way. We can't treat mom that way. Can't exclude this one sister. You don't know how that brother would have actually turned out in his life. You don't know which sibling he would have become. Because oftentimes in our life, we play the roles that we have to play. We become the people that we have to become because there's a vacuum. And it's not only like this in a family or with a parent. In the yeshiva, you have one rabbi, who gravitates to a position because no one is doing it. There's one rabbi in the faculty, he's the fundraiser. This is what he was designed to be from Hashem at birth. Hashem is like, and you shall be a fundraiser. Or was he just like you? But you know what? No one was doing that job. And he's a real Baal Achrayut, so he took it on himself. I don't know what Moshe Rabbeinu would have been like if he was not Parnas HaTzibur. I don't know if he would have had the luxury to be more Aharon-like, more beloved to the people, if he would have been able to be that, because someone else was literally laying down the law. That is Moshe Rabbeinu. It is his job, first and foremost, to be Mochiach Am Yisrael, to teach them right from wrong, to give them rebuke when that rebuke is necessary. And if everybody likes the rabbi, then the rabbi is not doing his job. The assistant rabbi everybody could like. Lama? Because of this reason. This is the nikuda over here. So it's not a demeaning of Moshe. It's not a demeaning of Mordechai. It's rather to say that when they were in pole position, Mordechai had to come to the people and say, I don't care what anybody else said, you can't go to the Seudat Ahashverosh. Mordechai was the lone voice that was saying that from everyone, including all the other rabbis. You understand now why he was Ratzui, the Rovechav. Even without the understanding, the derush of it. Even on a pshat level. My friends, I want to take a look for 1 second in the end of the pasuk of Mordechai, just to prove this idea. How do we end the Megillah? Mordechai is what? How did the last pasuk go? Ki Mordechai Yehudi Mishneh lemelech Hashverosh, right? Gadol Yehudim Ratzul L'Echav. That's the ra'ayah that what I'm saying is emet. You know why he's Ratzul L'Echav? Because he's Gadol Yehudim. When you're the number one guy, you have no option but to tell the people off. To be the one that's going to tell them how to be. I love the idea also. Dober Shalom. What's the last line of the Megillah? Gadol Yehudim Ratzul L'Echav. Dober Shalom. Doresh Shalom.
Doresh Shalom.
The word shalom is the opposite of that word. That word, doresh, means to demand. What does it mean to demand peace? That means you're not giving the person an option. Let's look at Aharon's approach for a minute. Aharon goes to the husband, he says, I just saw your wife. She's crying, she really wants to get back together. She just feels bad that she can't take the first step. But if you were to take the first step, she already wants shalom. That's what we learned about Aharon. Aharon is ohev shalom. He's rodef shalom. But does he demand shalom? No. And maybe that actually makes him more effective. But that's not an option for Mordechai. Be that as it may, Aharon is able to do things from that position that Moshe is not able to do. But that's not a bad thing. That's how it works. The one that's the kind parent, the fun parent, after the discipline comes, then they're able to patch the boo-boo and put on a Band-Aid. And who does everybody love in that scenario? Even though they made you the person that you needed to be. Everyone thinks about the soft mother or the soft, whichever one is the softer one. It is a remarkable thing that at the end of the day, Al Chachamim tell us that when Aharon's casket went out, the entirety of Am Yisrael goes out with him. But I believe the Midrash says that there are 80,000 children with the name Aharon. Why are there 80,000 children named Aharon? Because there are 80,000 marriages that had been either were on the rocks or had broken apart, that Aharon had put back together. So the child was named after him because he was the cause of that shalom bayit. So there are many ways to skin a cat, chaverim. Aharon's approach got him a lot of friends, but he was not Moshe Rabbeinu. And I don't know, hard for me to know, if what Moshe would have been like had he not become. What would have been his approach had Aharon been the leader? I don't know. Hard to know. But at the same time, you see the impact that each one of these tremendous leaders made, marki de itle, umarki de itle. And I'll ask you this, knowing what Moshe knows, knowing that not everyone came to the funeral, do you think Moshe would change a single thing about what he did? For sure not. Ultimately, like my rabbi once said, I always tell over this story. My rabbi, Rav Berkowitz Sharita, there was one of the young rabbis was going out. He went out for a little while. He came back. He said, you know, we were gathering all the. He said, Rebbe, it's so hard when you work as a rabbi in the community for so long, and you're giving. Nobody appreciates it. You know, they just expect it. The only comment they have is not when you came. It's when you came, or you didn't come late, or you were late. That's when they have to tell you something. You know, but you know, it's hard to keep doing it without appreciation. And my rabbi said, Tshuva nitzchit. My rabbi said the best answer ever. You're going to like this, Rabbi? You're going to like his answer. You know what he said?
I said, even Rabbi Berkowitz.
No, this guy said it to Rabbi Berkowitz.
I'm saying.
He said, you know, you work and you give and there's no appreciation. Rabbi Berkowitz said, well, it's a good thing we don't do this for the appreciation. Boom. Not, you learn Musar. Not, it's good, it's okay, don't worry about it. No, the opposite. That's never the motivating factor. And that should never change the way we behave. I had someone, I overheard someone once yelling at the rabbi of a certain community. Yelling, no shame, yelling. Rabbi, you should really do this, and you should really be like that, and maybe if you tried this, and if you did this, it's going on and on for 20 minutes telling the rabbi what to do. Anyway, the rabbi, Abus Hayato, he was Shomea Hirpatam, Ve'enam Meshivim. He was listening to his abuse and his the put downs, and he wasn't answering. But I already was I was cooking inside. I came up afterwards. I said, these are such great ideas. The guy loved it. I pulled a kalev on the guy. I said, these are such great ideas. He looks at me. I said, which shul were you in that you try these as the rabbi, that you're coming with such experience and such knowledge? Where were you the rabbi before? You were a rabbi somewhere? He says, no, I'm not a rabbi. I have a business. I was like, oh, what do you do? He says, I make socks, I make underwear, I make t-shirts, I make briefcases, I make tennis rackets, I make baseball gloves. This is what he does. He does all like sporting goods. That's what he makes. I said, oh, that's amazing. I said, did the rabbi ever tell you how to make your goods? He said, no, what does he? And he caught himself halfway through. And he realized, he says, okay, I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help. I don't know if you're trying to help if you're yelling at someone in public. I don't know if you're trying to help if you never did this job a day in your life. To come to kavod, it's amazing how many times Abba will tell you, right? You stop a guy in his tracks with one comment. Guy says, I have a great idea for the shul. Gives you a whole idea. I say, that's a fantastic idea. You should do it. Man dechar shemeh. Crickets after that. You don't hear nothing. Everybody has suggestions. Everybody has ideas. Okay, do it. Let's see you. You want me to do it? Oh, okay. My plate is a little full, like we said in the other class. I'm trying to put more and more and more on my plate, but let me put my ideas on my plate. Your plate, I don't know, I'm not seeing anything on it for the kehillah. Come on, let's go. Join us. I think that's an nekudah over here that's very important. Moshe has called Bnei Israel. Mordechai is Ratzui Rov Echav. You know who wrote the words that Mordechai was Ratzui Rov Echav? Who wrote that? Moshe Rabbeinu, the Gemara says, he wrote the last 8 Pesukim, Bedema, what does that mean? Belnagaon. But for sure, Mordechai. Who wrote the last words of the Megillah? Mordechai wrote them. Did you imagine writing about yourself, Ratzui L'Rov Echav? You think Mordechai changed a kihuzeh after he was Ratzui only L'Rov Echav? No. He did what he needed to do. Hashem should bless us always to do what we need to do, to not be detracted by detractors, not to worry about people's opinions, and to always do what we know to be true in our heart of hearts. Baruch Hanei Le'olam, amen ve'amen.